Joining us now for No Sooks, No Lefties, none other than Chrysten Abraham, who is, of course, a lovely libertarian, and a lovely liberal is none other than Michael Kroger. See, equal love for everyone. They're both in Melbourne. Now, ACTU came out today with an interesting thing, which was talking about the profit margins over the past few years of insurance companies and banks. Surprise, surprise, they say that it is too high, but interesting to note that it has been a significant increase over that period of time, and as we've spoken about when it comes to cost of living and inflation, the increases, particularly in insurance premiums, have been worth noting here. So, Michael, is there such thing as too much profit for a financial institution? I say, of course, as a man who no doubt is across them all, knows many of the players, but is there a point where it's too much?
Not really. You'll notice the subtext of this, by the way, is the ACTU attacking the banks for causing inflation, therefore higher interest rates. Wink, wink. This is part of the Labor movement's attack on the Reserve Bank, not Jim Chalmers. It's all the Reserve Bank's problem, you know, part of that. But no, look, mate, these vacuous comments from the ACTU, you can't just make a comment like that without working out how much capital is employed. I mean, what is the return on capital for the banks? If they've got $1 million employed and they're making $1 million, that's a great return, 100% return. If they've got $1 million employed and they're making $1 million, that's a terrible return. $1 million employed and they're making $100, that's a terrible return. What is the return on their investment? So just to simply in a vacuous way to say, oh, they're making too much money, I mean, it's the kind of nonsense, economic nonsense you hear from the ACTU. Of course, increased bank profits mean increased dividends for members of the union super funds.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. And finally, mate, better a profitable bank than an unprofitable bank.
Yeah, correct. I mean, again, Chrysten, you know, we get what the game is here, which is to pretend, oh, the government doesn't set any policy and every policy they've got is great and everyone who's not government is somehow, you know, trying to stick a shiv into you. Their numbers, which again, dutifully reported by a media who doesn't say, well, hang on, there's not a bloke sitting around just twirling his moustache who's sitting on the billions, Scrooge McDuck style. It's being divided up and sent back to the people who own it, including the people who are forced to have shares in the bank because of superannuation, which is forced on us by government. But their number is 46% increase in profit, 212 beef a billion, ooga booga, ooga booga.
Yeah, I completely agree with Michael. This is part of the Labor Party's spin. Chalmers tried to blame the RBA and now he's got his union mates coming out and saying something along the lines of, look here, this is the problem. It's not the government. Please don't look at us. The government is clearly the problem in the cost of living crisis that we're in the inflation that we're seeing. And they're looking for anyone to blame as a scapegoat. But over-regulation of banks is what has led largely to the big four banks. We are stopping new entrants into the market. So I don't think more regulation is ever going to be the solution. That is the problem with big government, and that is the problem with the lives we're all living at the moment, our cost of living crisis, is this consistent regulation which lets these big businesses continue to thrive and stops little businesses from coming in and creating more competition.